Hello guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Before we start, a subscribe is greatly appreciated, and don't forget to leave a like and ring the bell icon so you won't miss exciting new fanfiction stories. What if Rimuru is in the Eminence of the Shadow? Chapter 02. Rimuru was heading to the kingdom of Oriana with Beatrix and Iris, the princess of Midgar. Interested? Rimuru asked Iris as she kept looking at the storm sword. I'd be lying if I said no, replied by the redhead princess. Can I hold it? Rimuru nodded and handed the sword to the princess. Iris carefully observed the details of the sword. She felt that the force contained in the sword was enough to wipe out an entire kingdom. You have a very nice sword, she said as she returned the weapon. It is, but, sadly, you can't see the real one, he said, keeping the sword in its scabbard. What's wrong, Beatrix? Why, you can't say that to the princess, she whispered, blushing. But it's the truth, this is just a copy. Rimuru understood that Beatrix had misthought what he said. Beatrix, pervert, I am not perverted, she yelled in embarrassment. It was a trip full of good times, he discovered interesting things, Princess Iris liked him, and in the kingdom of Oriana, they met the kings and princesses of that place. I'm going to put a time jump here. The years passed peacefully for Rimuru. He is happy with Beatrix's company and running his business, and he seemed like a normal person. But not everything can be like this for Rimuru. Claire is in danger, he said as he felt Claire had taken damage. He put on the mask he received from Shizu and his old demon lord coat to hide his identity, though he didn't plan on leaving anyone alive for touching his student. Meanwhile, Sid Kaganu was also moving along with the girls from the Shadow Garden. Claire had hurt her wrists when she forcibly freed her hands from the chains. She also received a blow to the stomach, but that was the least of it. Viscount Olba, it was heard from the corridor, as well as a metallic sound on the floor. Are you tired of living? There was a strong pressure in the environment, in addition to the screams of the guards being killed. The cell door opened, revealing the masked Rimuru dragging the tip of his sword on the floor. Viscount. You touched Claire. He brushed past the Viscount and ignored him, his attention was focused on Claire. He healed the wrists of the girl who was looking at him in surprise. That voice and that sword belonged to his teacher. Rimuru? He asked, looking at the masked man. You're Rimuru, right? It's been a while, Claire. He removed his mask and smiled at her. We'll see each other again soon. What are you? Before finishing the question, Claire fainted. Rimuru's attention focused on Olba again, but also on the other presences, besides Sid's. Let's see what you can do, he thought, and hid, so no one would feel his presence or notice. Alpha, the one who seemed to be the leader of the other girls in front of Viscount Olba, attacked, slashing the cheek of the human who was unable to react. We are Shadow Garden, we bring doom to the cult of Diabolas, he exclaimed. We know everything, the demon Diabolas and the curse of it, the descendants of the heroes, and the truth about possession. Where did you learn about the cult of Diabolas? He yelled, surprised and annoyed. Viscount Olba attacked Alpha, but to no avail. He was easily cut down by the elf. Cornered, he resorted to his last resort and took a pill that he had saved. He used the strength he got to escape by making a hole in the ground. The girls let him go. Shadow was waiting for him. Actually, it was a coincidence. Seeing Shadow, Olba attacked directly and his sword was stopped by only 2 fingers. He backed away and tried again several times, to no avail for him. Desperate and cornered, he took a large amount of the drug he took earlier, thus exceeding his limits. And despite everything, it was not enough. Viscount Olba believed that he had the upper hand, but with a single serious move from Shadow, he was sliced in half. You're interesting, Sid, was what Rimuru thought of the boy who followed into this world. Chapter 03. Pav Sid. An eminence in the shadows must act like a mob, that is my most important motto. In fact, eminence in the shadow and mob are 2 sides of the same coin. An eminence in the shadows is so called because it does not stand out. Those who do are mere wielders of power. One who aspires to be an eminence in the shadows must master the mob arts. That's exactly why even before my reincarnation I didn't stand out in school. Even in this school, nothing is different. I'm at the Midgar Royal Academy of Sword Sorcery. It is an extremely prestigious academy. I entered when I turned 15, just like my sister. I've been here for 2 months now. My integration between the mobs is going well. I keep my grades low and don't stand out. End of POV. So this is the famous academy, Rimuru muttered as he entered. It's not a big deal. He walked around the place analyzing who he came across. Needless to say, he attracted the attention of the girls and the envy of the men due to his beautiful appearance. While walking he came across a peculiar scene. Sid Kaganu was confessing to Princess Alexia. Ah. P-Wince. Saw Alexia, Sid said, pretending to be nervous, averting his eyes and making a silly bow. Place PLE please. Will you go out with me? That's a complete mob, Rimuru thought. I'm very glad you asked. From now on I'm in your care, Princess Alexia said, holding Sid's hand. What the fuck? Leading luck? Or is she just a crazy person with weird plans? Was what Rimuru thought at Alexia's acceptance. It was time for lunch, so Rimuru headed to the academy dining room. By standing out so much for his appearance, he used one of his abilities to go unnoticed and thus eat in peace. While eating the lunch that Beatrix prepared for him, he watched Sid without being noticed. He acts like a nobody, he seems to be serious about the Shadow Garden. With my recommendation, I put you in the expert class. We will train together this afternoon, Princess Alexia said. Then I'll go to the expert class too, later, in the Royal Bunchen expert class. Today we will have a new companion, Sid Kaganu. He was recommended by Princess Alexia, Zenon Graffi announced. And to Rimuru Tempest, a student who entered the academy on the recommendation of someone special. Rimuru? I remember my sister said that name in her sleep. Is it a coincidence? Sid thought, looking sideways at Rimuru. Unlike Sid, Rimuru got all the attention, although the typical comments of, he's only here for Princess Alexia, were not lacking. Professor Zenon, how about a friendly match? Rimuru asked when he finished stretching. I promise not to hurt you. The attention was focused on Rimuru and Zenon. Practically everyone surrounded them to see what was going on. Sure. It's just practice, Zenon replied. They both looked at each other, with their swords ready. And from 1 second to the next, Zenon was unable to follow Rimuru's movement. My sword is at your neck, Rimuru said while smiling. I win. Zenon was a good actor, so his annoyance and fury went unnoticed, but deep down he felt humiliated. Well done, although it's just a practice, he mused, implying that in a real battle, the result would be different. The students supported him. They didn't know about Rimuru despite having surprised them with his speed. You won't be able to defeat me even after 1,000 years, Rimuru declared and took a seat. This is boring. After classes ended, Rimuru returned to his home. For his part, Sid met with Alexia. Basically, the instructor Zenon is your fiancé and I'm here as a scapegoat, Sid said. You only accepted my confession because you wanted someone harmless. How can you play with a boy's heart? The same goes for you, Mr. Loser of the bet.